Hard to say, because Sona going into this should end up in the support role. I could see it going into the mid lane, you know, has a decent amount of damage. It's not too difficult to go for some long range hits with the spells he has, especially since it's kind of auto target. At the same time, you know, Blitzcrank has some agency, has some potential to set it up if you're looking to try and funnel your jungler, but I'm not quite sure how well that would kind of pan out with the jungler that has to catch them out.
Well, in we go. We'll see whether or not the fan favorite, it seems, heading into this matchup. Singapore, the StarCall, going to be able to take home the victory. Or are we going to see, you know, Team Cambodia come out here, Team Keeper, able to make their first showing well known? And it does look like, actually, it's going to be a solo lane Sona instead. Is that hook not going to connect there from T26?
Right, solo lane Sona makes a little bit more sense. You know, you have the ability to go for quite a number of easy spell hits, so you have consistent damage. You just don't really have that much burst. I do suspect that with Electrocute, you probably could still go for a decent amount. That has to be a little bit careful here. Standing away from the minion wave means that he could get hit by the Blitzcrank, and they don't really have means to escape from a catch should they get caught out here.
Let's see here, as we take a consistent look down here, we are expecting maybe some action to start off early, especially when you're going up against Soraka. You want to try and get her down immediately before the lane. As longer it goes, the more heal she kind of gets, and the easier time it's going to be for this StarCall bot lane. Meanwhile, too, it looks like it's not going to be that Amumu jungle. It's actually going to be lane Amumu up in that top lane up against that Camille.
Yeah, lane Amumu should do okay. Sinjao going into the mid side.
There you go. A nice scan coming out here from the jungle of Team Keeper. As we mentioned, the Xin Zhao, a little bit of a more easier champion to pull off, especially if you're still learning in the game, and that's forcing out the flash immediately out of the Ahri.
And if we talk a little bit about how each composition works and what the teams want to do, Keeper's strategy is pretty straightforward, right? They have a pretty good team fighting composition. The Camille can split push if need be, but otherwise you group together, you can go for a couple of bunch of really good fights. Up at the top side, Amumu versus Camille is probably one of the toughest matchups for the Amumu because Camille gets the additional shield. She has a lot of natural tenacity, so it's very difficult to try to look for a catch, try and look for a gank. A lot of sustain available as well. But you have to be careful with the hook shots because if you use them aggressively at any point, Mastery could come up to the top side with the CC that the Amumu stacks. Very easy to get a catch. And if you guys aren't aware of the interaction, the hook shots can dash you out because you buffer. So even after you get stunned, the buffer can still channel. So it's very difficult to lock down a Camille in lane as a Mumu.
So there we go. That's already going to be the back coming through from the Camille, it looks like here. Not seeing it in the lane, so either just going back for some of that honey fruit, which, again, if you guys aren't too familiar with Wild Rift, and it's kind of the first time you're seeing some of the game, of course, you have honey fruit in underneath the towers, as that Xin Zhao is going to make an appearance. Doesn't look like, though. Actually going to go and try and make the play, as Vincent already hitting level 5 here with the Sad Mummy.
Level 5 means that the ultimate is available for Vincent, but a bit of a problem is what items he's going to go for, because Amumu generally wants to go for more armor-based items. However, you have a bit of a conundrum because now Camille has a lot of magic damage to supplement the physical damage she deals, so you have to try to kind of adjust the build. And while Abyssal Mask could be good to bolster your damage a little bit, then you run into the secondary issue, who's your tank? Who's going to be the beefy boy that soaks up damage for you? Because you have Soraka, you should be stacking a tank with it, right? So who's going to be your primary tank if you opt for additional damage items? Mid lane seeing a bit of a repeat gank.
2 mid again.
Well, you say that. Meanwhile, bot lane, though, that looked like that was actually a connector onto the Vayne, and the flash forward from T26 going to be first blood going on over to Team Keeper of the Blitzcrank there. So a nice start here in this bot lane. We mentioned Blitzcrank early, always a threat when you don't have many minions.
The dragon has spawned.
Well, this is a really interesting level choice from Saziri. Doesn't go for the Will-O-Wisp, puts all his points into his orb and into his charm. Okay. I mean, this makes sense. If he wants to just purely go for the wave clear in the early stages of the game and avoid any additional trades, I could understand why he would make this decision. Sona, surprisingly good amount of wave clear because she can constantly spam her Q first spell, which, oh my goodness.
Oh no. Oh, that was beautiful. Is the Ash arrow up is the question. It doesn't look like it. No mana, unfortunately, for the marksman. Meanwhile, though, T26 maybe getting a little bit too aggressive, as you saw Ryan able to step back there onto the Master Yi. Not able to get the kill, but again, that threat always looming. But that Soraka, always a nuisance. Really hard to kill down the marksman early on.
Oh,
but
no,
if you get her under tower, that can just happen, but they still can't kill this darn Soraka. It is frustrating to play against this.
Nathan had just the right amount of deterrence. Pops the ultimate, pops the final hour, and at that point, you know, Blitzcrank and Ash decide it's not worth the engage, it's not worth the chase. Let's back off of this. Daniel survives by virtue of his ADC just being present.
Well, that's tragic. Brandon, have you ever seen a Soraka live underneath tower from a blitz hook when she's only like at a third health? That's tragic that there's just no mana left onto your Ash because they've been using it to push out the lane consistently, and the roam's starting to come out here from the Blitzcrank, forcing out a flash and almost getting the kill here for once again the side of Team Keeper.
Yeah, it's been so even on both sides. We talked about how we expected things to be pretty close between both teams, but it's been almost to a surprising level. Hook barely misses out. Cesare gets the charm, finds to disengage. Ryan survives after sneaking away a quick dragon.
So there you go. Meanwhile, up in that top lane, it's the Battle of the Sad Mummy. And scissor legged lady, that's pretty much as I always knew it when she first got released in the form of Camille. You can't remember every champion subtitle, all right, off the top of my head. Meanwhile, though, that Camille is hunted. Okay, Ryan. He's going to answer back. That Xin Zhao ultimate comes out a little bit too late. Ryan, he doesn't care whether or not you can deflect projectiles because you can't deflect the darn auto attacks. And there you go. Master Yi coming up online. This could be a very different game from what we see as StarCall able to find 2 kills on the board.
Solid showing on both ends. Did I just see double smite? Is Vincent running smite right now?
Yes, Vincent is also running smite. We're seeing double smite come out.
Double smite strat, looking like it's actually working out pretty well. If it is the case, you know, I can see why you would want to go for that, because now you're able to contest one objective on one end and another objective on the other end. The fact that Team StarCall have been able to get the Dragon, have been able to get the Rift Herald in more or less quick succession, and now using it into the mid lane to try and open up the map a little bit, is really good for the team, because they just need time to scale up. They just need some gold, they just need some items. Being able to kind of put a halt to Keeper's plays is going to assist them a lot, but at the same time, Keeper, they really only have to just play for this Blitzcrank. If Blitzcrank is able to get a hook, if he's able to find a pick, that's more than enough for them to get a good team fight and find their way back into the game.
Well, you see good hook coming out here. Is they're actually going to be able to land that? The Ash Arrow ends up missing point blank. Unfortunate there. And that will allow Zari to get to safety with only having to use a quick dash from the ultimate. So a nice little break there coming out for StarCall on this mid lane push.
Good defense coming in over on the side of Keepers, but it's still going to be quite a big loss. Now they've opened up the map, and this really helps the Master Yi. Master Yi loves to be able to go to multiple jungle sides and pick up farm very quickly. Bit of a roam coming in from Cesare up on the top side. Use it, gets a little bit more move speed. The charm going to be used, but it goes a bit wide. The auto target fires off at a minion instead. Vincent steps forward. They aren't able to pick anything else off this.
So though, a nice little rotation. He saw that Camille was going to head on back to base. So that should be a tower, at least some plating, and a much different stance than what we were in previous game, where we saw, you know, a Master Yi that was just falling behind further and further. Now we're seeing the opposite, where this Master Yi is starting to take off and be more aggressive into the jungle. And speaking of aggression, not going to land that Blitzcrank hook there, as that's going to be Daniel able to get safety. Nathan getting a bit aggressive there with that final hour being popped, but not going to be able to do anything else much.
Yeah, Ron was pretty close to getting hooked there, but looks like they still have their wits about them. I'm looking forward to see what's...
Oh no.
My goodness, Cesare though.
Oh, look at this, though. The 2v1 maybe coming out from Vincent on this Amumu, trying to do what they can. Unfortunately, the knockup's going to be there. One last auto attack from the Camille, and that's going to be 2 kills going back on over to Team Keeper.
Very difficult to play a 2v2 against a Camille and a Sinjao. He just has so much damage, so much CC. The Amumu does better when it's a slightly bigger team fight. When you have additional damage, the Vayne could potentially be the target they want to try and watch, that they want to try and peel for. At the same time, you know, the Ahri kind of has the additional threat where they play a sort of pick composition. It kind of works in contrast to the Blitzcrank. They barely dodges away from the hook there. Pixel perfect almost.
Well, this is kind of the big difference I'm seeing. Even though we do see Team Keeper able to, you know, find, you know, the odd pick here and there because of this Blitzcrank hook, which, again, T26 considering to step up, not able to land that onto Nathan. But meanwhile, while this is all happening, you have Team StarCall just taking objectives left and right and maybe even looking for a play here. If 26 gets a little bit too aggressive, that's going to be, of course, the ultimate being blown. But guess what? It's a 4v3. You just got baited. And Crescendo going to come out, unfortunately, not going to slow down the fury that is being exerted, as that's a double kill coming on over. Nathan underneath the tower. It's an alpha strike to reset the tower aggro, and a nice dive coming out from Team StarCall.
Great execution. They weren't able to pick up the final kill. Now Sinjao on the turret by himself should be able to clear out the wave. Delays the pickup on this turret, but a great play baiting out the Blitzcrank. Like you mentioned, T26 was looking for any opportunity to find a pick to take down Nathan, to try and take down Dan. This just gave them time for Ryan to join in, for Society to join in. There isn't any other objective on the map to really watch out for, so they could afford to make a play like that. And these are the windows that, when you're a keeper, you have to be very careful of, because while it may seem good on paper to look for any catch where you can, you have to be aware when you have the damage to do so and where the enemy team is. And that's a little bit that we're seeing indifference in the other game.
I saw there, lockdown came through, but unfortunately, StarCall able to bring back the numbers, and you know, that little kind of ray of hope that I was kind of seeing for Team Keeper, which was this Camille able to find some lockdowns and the Xin Zhao starting to come online. Unfortunately, now that's starting to get pressured out and starting to lose this lane as well. So with that now, StarCall
enemy turret destroyed.
Looking for possibly a dive here is Ryan. Yeah, I got Baron here as well. If they get this pick, this could easily be the end-all here for Team Keeper, and they could lose a lot off the map.
Yeah, level 11 on the Mastery, it's very easy to pick up the Baron. Be careful here, but it's 3 members over on that side. Not sure how much Ryan wants to go for this.
Oh, Ryan gets sunned up. There comes that Soraka ultimate, though, is able to give the health back, and now going to jump into that back line, goes for another alpha strike, and able to find the resets once more, and you can't take down this Master Yi. It's a double kill in the end for the Ahri, and a double kill for the Master Yi, and Nathan looking to make it a team ace if he could find the kill on the Camille, but instead just going to go ahead and get pressure onto the tower.
Insane play coming through. I mean, the fact that they managed to survive all of that was just nutty, right? Mastery gets hit by the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, survives despite the fact. That's not something that should be happening. You have to have correct champion prioritization. Once a target gets hit by CC like that, you have to go for the kill.
Oh, and you saw there, looking for the Crescendo to land. Not able to find it underneath that tower, and they do at least keep that inhibitor tower up and alive in the top side of the map, but one more wave will be able to do it. And then Team Keeper always going to have to be worried about super minions starting to pile in through the top side of the map, and StarCall in a great position to try and close out this game in the next 2 minutes if they're able to find themselves possibly a Baron or the next Drake.
You know, and this is true whether it's for the mid lane or for the top lane, so they could easily go for the pickup on the inhibitor turret. The minions are spawning in, and now they have the opportunity to go for the Baron very easily because, again, they're going to be dealing with the super minions coming into the base. They don't have the means to try and stop this, and as a team as a whole, they're kind of lacking the damage to do Baron, right? Whereas on to the side of Team StarCall, they have a very easy time picking out Baron. Whether it's the Master E, whether it's the Vayne, tons of damage means that they can shred through those neutral objectives. at the same time, Nathan was able to hold out against the Camille by himself, which shouldn't normally be the case. But the fact that he is really important, because now this means that you can delay the rest of the team. Camille is a huge driving force for keepers. If they lose this very important champion on their side, a lot of the team fights are going to start being StarCall favored.
I know my concern here too is even if they do find maybe a magical blitz hook, that's always kind of that question, you know, late game League of Legends, even on Wild Rift, a blitzcrank hook can turn the tide of the game. But if you're not getting, you know, this Soraka, which they almost did, it's really hard to burst down that individual member without exhausting pretty much all your ultimates, and you need to save some of these either for this Camille to try and maybe make a play. But unfortunately, if you're getting caught out, it doesn't matter. You find a pick. Ryan's going to be able to hunt down the kill. Alpha Strike comes on through, and that's a dominating Master Yi. Meanwhile, though, Nathan getting a little bit too aggressive there in the mid-side jungle, and does cost them one member. It's a 4v4 for the next little bit. Actually, a 4v3 as they were able to find the kill onto the Xin Zhao.
Yeah, Nathan was at least still able to equalize by getting the Xin Zhao kill, which means now they have to jungle up. Keepers don't. They could go for the Baron or they could go for the Dragon. It looks like Ryan's going to make the Baron call.
Attack Baron.
Yeah, I think Baron is your call. You see the pings coming out there as well from the Ahri, and there you go. It's pretty difficult at this point for Team Keeper to try and interrupt this as they're on to the bot side of the map, and unless there was a magic arrow coming on through, it looks like that's going to be our second Baron of the day being picked up here by Team StarCall.
Yeah, nice look up. Now, it looks like the Nathan managed to pick up. No, he just barely misses out on the buff. Respawns a second too late, but that's okay. They still have it on 4 of their members. Now they're just gonna have to escort their waves up. The Dragon is up. I think they could probably just end the game without having to be all too concerned about this Dragon. It looks like Nathan is just gonna go pick it up while he's waiting for his team to just spawn out of base first. Meanwhile, minion waves
looks like it's and this is a feels bad too when there's a Vayne just soloing a Drake and your team can't really do anything about it at this point. That's just how far back Team Keepers has been put. And now it's very much up to Team StarCall. You have a massive advantage. You have Baron buff in hand. This should be, in theory, a quick and easy closeout. We'll see if that's going to be the case there. As there you go, Inhibitor Tower in mid lane gets taken here by Riot. Maybe not done. Okay. Ooh! Ooh, the damage! Boy, you can't do that! Oh my lord, Camille ultimate comes on through, but that's still not even the GA getting popped here. And that's a little unfortunate, as they're not even able to take down the Master Yi once. That's 3 members down and only 2 left to protect the base. So with that, it looks like StarCall going to be able to start sieging in onto these inhibitor towers, looking for this bot one as well. And now that is 2 lanes that are going to be forced to have to deal with super minions, and even possibly this top side. If Nathan just doesn't just take the kill just like that, there you go. It's only the Nexus standing here at this point, as every tower in the base is taken. And Team StarCall going to be taking home the victory for our second game of the day.
I don't think you have to deal with super minions. Your game's just going to end at that point. You can see StarCall pretty relieved. Nathan's happy. Yeah, so surprised. He's like, I can't believe
he's looking back at the piece of paper. He's looking back at the piece of paper and goes, wait a sec. We actually gave them no mercy. We can't do that on the Wild Rift official channel. We just can't